KV-8 flame tank deployed once again, but a Panzer IV moving to intercept as well as a pack.
Oh, Panzer IV getting hit by a Zis 3 from the side.
They need to pull up.
All three control points now in the Germans' favor.
Back, but again, this fuel point is not controlled by the Axis. They need to just move one thing on top of that, and it'll be there. And of course, this Panzer IV is moving in an unfavorable engagement. It cannot fight an AT gun head-on, not like that anyway. Oh, there's the rocket strike coming in. Does a lot of damage to the Panzer. Destroys it utterly. Really, strafing runs. Airborne assaults. This is entire air engagement right now.
Oh, and we have paratroopers coming down.
Yep, German paratroopers as well as American paratroopers.
Getting erased by the.
They do manage to decapture the point and force that thing to escape. A lot of fucking planes all over the place.
There's where a P-51 would come in handy.
The KV-8's almost dead here, and it gets destroyed. No, it doesn't. Its engine's just down. One more shot.
Oh,
more shot.
It's still moving.
Yep. Come on, the pack can finish it off. It just needs one more shot. It'll be all worth it if they can just shoot once more into its rear.
And boom,
Bam.
It is gone.
This is a very, very, crazy engagement here. It's going back and forth. The right side is being recaptured by the Germans here, but a Sherman is able to rout these Fallschirmjäger, so perhaps the Americans are going to be able to retake the right side. The Allied players really need their resources back because they don't have anything.
That damaged Sherman, however.
And an IS-2 deployed by Delcore here on the left side, the left island. Now the Axis are going to be hard-pressed to actually destroy the IS-2 because it is very, very effective against just about everything. Although he doesn't quite have the resources for a second one just yet. A mechanized regiment headquarters goes down for RPG. Both sides have taken disastrous losses.
Regimental HQ has been destroyed. A mobile command vehicle has been dispatched.
Let's take a look at what they are planning to do about this giant IS-2 and KV-8 attack. As of right now, it looks like a few packs are the only defense they have against this tank rush. A Panther tank deployed, but it's not going to be enough to take down these two tanks here. That was a good shot from the pack, doing quite a bit of damage to the IS-2. They might even be able to take it out here if they're careful. But the IS-2's pulling out to engage another day, and the machine gun of this church is probably also going to be pulled back momentarily. A big American push on the right side is going to try and retake the entirety of this island. More fire coming in on the church. The machine gun manages to get out last second there. A couple more shots and that church would have been history. Artillery fire coming in on this fuel point by Ekenbro, trying to deny that fuel to the Allies for as long as possible. Victory point being capped by the Allies to try and turn the game in their favor. But the IS-2 is not getting a break because the push is real. The push is absolutely real. Still, I don't think it's very favorable for the Axis here. They still have the superior tank numbers, and a Katusha will make that advantage even more clear. Oh, incendiary artillery on top of that as well. A Jagdtiger from RPG. Now this is what they need to counter the American and Soviet armored threat. Speaking of American armored threat, here comes a Sherman to try and deny this capture, but a Panzer IV will try and stop.
This is not a good engagement for the American player.
But no, especially now that he's exposed to side armor and that Panther is coming in to assist. It is out of control.
This would be a good chance for the American player to use his rocket strafe if he had the money for it.
Now the rocket strafe actually, I think, can take care of a Panzer IV in maybe one strafing round. Not really sure. That IS-2 really needs to pull all the way back to the base because it is not getting a break. It is just taking more and more damage every time. That Jagdtiger is going to absolutely annihilate it if it gets the chance.
And further the Jagdtiger goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Oh, and the KV-8.
Whoa, that does a ton of damage to the KV-8. And destroyed engine. One more shot will finish it off. It looks like the Allies have squandered their armored superiority here, and now the Axis are able to pull out their really big guns. Panthers, Jagdtigers, maybe even a King Tiger later on. We'll see. We will see. Looks like they're getting one of every armor right now. They got a Panzer IV, a Panther, a Jagdtiger. We'll see what else they want to pull up. A lot of stuff going on here. Tons and tons of stuff. These shock troops are going to get killed on the open road.
Meanwhile, American paratroopers making quick work of the right to gather those well-needed resources.
Yep. Now that they've kind of lost this engagement here, if the Panzer IV goes a little bit forward, it can scout out that Katusha and maybe even kill it. A couple of shots is all it needs to take that lightly armored thing down.
Jagdtiger, meanwhile, just sitting back on that point.
Well, it needs to be kept well protected because a vehicle that just flanks around the Jagdtiger will do massive damage. And given that it doesn't have a turret, it can't exactly turn to face it very effectively. The Americans here have pretty much taken the entirety of this island.
Small engagement with some Panzer Grenadiers.
And they might throw a grenade here, which they do. Let's see how much damage it does. Not that much. One kill. Nope, 2 kills. Panzer IV coming in.
No doubt to back up those recently lost
The IS-2 is being repaired in a very dangerous spot because if it gets scouted, it'll have to retreat, but it'll have to retreat over the ice, and if it does that, it can sink very easily there. Oh, another KV-8 heavy flamethrower tank coming out for Delcore. Honestly, I would at this point have saved for another IS-2. They need some heavy-hitting tanks, and the KV-8, while heavily armored, it does not have very heavy armaments. Another back cap for the fuel here, but these paratroopers are going to quickly deny that. Packs being moved forward. A Panther that's not really being repaired right now. Brandon needs to get this fixed up. Oh, but the Soviets are making forward. Oh, he's making an armored push, and he might actually succeed here. The only thing defending it right now is a damaged Panther and a damaged Panzer IV.
Oh, but the Jagdtiger coming in.
Incendiary artillery coming in on the Panzer IV, but it doesn't do any damage considering, well, you know, it's incendiary. It's not supposed to. Panzer IV coming in here, it's right in the middle of a whole bunch of Soviet tanks. He is going to get killed.
Jesus Christ, this is so much rape you couldn't put it on Pornhub.
That Panzer IV, oh, that KV-8 is abandoned. Will they be able to reclaim it? Maybe. If the Soviets take it now, it gets killed. But it looks like they want to kill it off just to make sure nobody remans it.
And that Jagdtiger now sitting there with the Panzer and the Panther, creating a sort of wall of tanks.
Yeah, the Axis have a clear armor advantage here. The Jagdtiger is engaging an Su-85, but the Su-85 does not have a chance in that particular fight. Soviets retreat across the river back to their base to
Americans dropping in another regiment of
The odd thing is, in this particular case, is both the Americans And one of the Soviet players has a ton of fuel. They just really aren't using it for tanks right now. Which, honestly, I think they at this point need. It's the late game. It's time for the tank battles. It's time for those tank destroyers, those heavy tanks, anything you can whip out.
Fortunately, the Americans, I do not believe, could pull out anything heavy enough to really do any damage.
They can pull out some tank destroyers, and while the heavy Soviet tanks tank, as it were, the M36 Jacksons can hit from afar and do significant damage.
We're getting plastered over here!
But it looks like they're not going to let them have this last point. The Germans are trying to take back this particular area here, forcing the Americans to regroup their operations, so to speak.
If they wanted to, they could push forward and easily overwhelm the very underwhelming forces of these Panzer Grenadiers, completely unupgraded. And here comes the Americans now, avoiding a grenade.
And they are engaging off of the
down.
road. Yeah, the road there is kind of bad for the Germans.
Completely mowing down
the
those.
machine gun. The machine gun's going to be pretty important here.
Especially being tier
it's got
3.
3 veterancies. If Ekenbro used the incendiary ammo there, he would actually do a lot more damage. But the Sherman is going to spell doom for these Germans.
Oh, and in comes the Sherman.
They don't have anything they need to fight it. They should retreat right now, or they risk losing one of these squads. Probably both. That squad's going to go down to the machine gun. Not sure why he doesn't want to just focus down one of the squads. There, he gets one.
Blizzard
Now the
coming in
Germans,
soon.
yeah, the Germans have complete and utter control of the leftmost island. And the Germans are trying to push forward a little bit on the right-hand side here. Now,
Both those Su-85s on the ice there, very open to
fun fact,
sinkage.
the Panzerfaust the Fallschirmjägers use can actually cause the ice to break a little bit if they hit a tank on the ice. So potentially they could sink any tank so long as they actually land a Panzerfaust too. As you can see, a lot of the ice here is already pretty damaged from all these heavy tanks just rolling on top of it all the time. You have to be careful about damaging the ice too much, because, you know, any break will cause it to just sink into the ice, and all that fuel that you have is wasted. Soviets are going to try and occupy this middle victory point here.